How we doing? I'm glad to have you tonight. It's the normal, shorter Monday show, but our theme is going to be drawing basics. So, let me say us a little prayer, and then we will get cooking. O God, whom saints and angels delight to worship in heaven, be ever present with your servants who seek through art and music to perfect the praises offered by your people on earth, and grant to them even now glimpses of your beauty, and make them worthy at length to behold it unveiled forevermore, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. So, this back up. Go. It's not quite how I want it. Don't look. That's better. Whatever. Ah, welcome, Amikamori. You know what? We're not gonna worry about that anymore. I'm well, thank you for asking. Now, drawing basics. Today I've chosen to use pencil and paper, in part to demonstrate the accessibility of what we are going to be looking at today. Because you don't need fancy gadgets to draw. All you need is pencil and paper. The rules that make fancy gadgets work are the same rules that make pencil and paper work. Now granted, there are some things that are easier to do with fancy gadgets, but the mentality to use them correctly doesn't really come. The mentality to use them correctly doesn't really come unless you have certain fundamental understandings that come with knowing how to use pencil and paper. Actually, today, this is the oldest pencil I have. My dad gave me this one when I was like 14 or 15 or something. It broke on me, and I fixed it with some tubing and hose clamps. This is going to be pretty close to the pencil that you're probably going to use, which is either going to be a stock mechanical pencil or regular old 2B wood pencil. Not 2B, HB. So, like, most fundamentally, drawing is going to be governed by oh, come on, you. Most fundamentally, drawing is going to be governed by your understanding of shapes. Can you draw a circle? Don't break your stuff. Breaking your stuff is bad. Sorry, trying to negotiate the best way to make pencil strokes visible on this. I'm not doing great. You're just gonna have to make sure you look real close, like so. Your ability to draw is in part going to be governed by your ability to command basic shapes and apply them to reality, I guess. Along with your shapes are going to be your forms, which are the projection of 3D shapes, the projection of shapes into more concrete space. And these are some of the most, like, dog water shapes I could possibly draw, but part of that, you know, is just to give you a sense of presence of the reality that it's not magic, it's just drawing and paying attention to what you're doing. Now, as a general rule, when people draw, they take their kind of shape-thinking language and apply them to representations of reality. So, as an example, you got your circle. You place circles inside. You place more circles inside. In a line. And with a set of shapes. You created a set of shapes that register what we understand as a face. I'm trying not to make this too, like, psychological and esoteric. But it's just taking shapes and turning them into... taking shapes, combining them, and turning them into objects and concepts that we recognize. One example I could use... let's see here. So do we have any questions yet? Do we currently have any questions or specific things we want to try to look at or address from a drawing basics understanding? Should say also one real important thing to keep in mind. The mastery that's going to allow you to draw the things that you really like and really want to make is not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen with consistent practice over a course of a number of days. On one more concrete example of shapes creating something recognizable, I'm not going to use... I thought about using Mickey Mouse, but number one, he might send someone after me for unlicensed use. And number two, I know most of the people that might like to watch my videos are going to be... most of the people that like to watch my videos are going to be weeaboos. So, we'll go a slightly different route. We have the central circle. We're going to have circles on the side still, but they're going to be smaller circles. Let's see. Off of those circles, we have little sickle shapes. We're going to have another kind of... we're going to put a mustache kind of looking shape on the top of this circle. That's the best way I can describe what we're building here. And we're going to take this circle, define it just a little bit. We're going to white the chin a little bit. Give her little part circles for the ears. And I'm saying her so you can kind of recognize where we're going now. You might be able to. Put a V here on the head. Circle. And there's no magic here. I have a reference on my screen over there. Circle shape. Okay, we're gonna... we wanted that closer in. Circle shape. Circle shape. Circle again. Circle again. Little thin eyelashes. Little kind of crescent moon looking shape for the mouth. Little nose. Now, it looks a little dollar store Americanized, but we have Sailor Moon. Define her lines a little bit here on the outside, and you'll notice that there's no erasing going on here, but that's kind of a choice on my part. Like, as a general rule, I try not to erase. I just keep drawing, and if I want to make any corrections, I'll do a new layer. One note I'll make, and I failed to mention this, as you draw, in almost every case, you want to make sure that you draw lightly at the first so that you don't make your paper and drawing muddy when you come to the point of defining your details. Sailor Moon's got those gems on her little hair buns there, so we put one circle outside for the gold, one circle inside for the gem, a third circle inside for the highlight, and then if we apply some pencil strokes here, see? Should have zoomed in further, that would have been courteous. And we've done enough shape work that we can put lines inside to define additional shapes. Like the tufts of the hair. We're going to thicken the lines around the eyes a little bit for eyelashes. Do some points out. We're going to do another line in here to separate teeth. And put some darkening here to identify the gem in her headpiece. And maybe just put a couple of lines there to make that hair look like that. Some more lines on the top hair. Now, it's a little bit scuzzy, yeah. It's a little bit scuzzy because my own process, I like to move slower just as a general rule. That's my own fault, my own preference, but now that's Sailor Moon. Circles, mustache, sickles, circles, circles. And that's kind of on purpose, me trying to stay away from using all the kind of underbuilt automatic drawing fundamentals that become present in your work as you practice them over time. Now, anybody who is watching, I hope you got a pencil and paper, and I hope that you're taking a little bit of time to practice and work on your own, so you have more of your own concept of what you're doing. So, at this point, do we have any questions or any special things we want to give some attention to during today's show? Because I want to answer questions that are relevant to you. Amika Mori, who is a member of the YouTube audience, asked me to kind of walk through the replication of a drawing, and we started on that last week, but we changed a little bit this week to back out a little bit and look more at the broader fundamentals that are involved in just basic drawing skill. Eyeball something on the side here. Okay. Well, chat, do we have any questions, or should I seek another thing to demonstrate here today? Alright, well. In the absence of any questions, we'll look at a couple things that you can do just, a couple things that you can do just with a little basic shape knowledge for drawing. So, well, I'll see what I can do quickly. One thing to keep in mind with that drawing is that there is a little bit of kind of complex finishing that's involved in that. But I'll see what I can do. See what we can do. All right. So this will display on the desktop stream, but it will not display on the mobile stream. Oh, that's why I had chat down there on the way. Supposed to cover all this other stuff up. And this is supposed to... There we go. Okay, yep, hang on. All right. Picture. Okay. Should have that. On the stream now. So, the picture is... Okay. I need to do a little maintenance on my monitor arm, but that's okay. The picture might be a little bit blurry over on the display, but that's actually going to be a little bit to our benefit because that helps us not get as lost in the details. So, this one is going to be made up of, let's see, the body. We're going to use a couple of rectangles. This character appears to be some kind of junior high girl, so there's going to be, like, maybe a little bit of a waist, but not very much. one thing you want to be careful about when you're developing the pelvis with basic shapes, the legs don't actually start in this area. The legs actually start kind of halfway up in there because of the hip joint that joins halfway up. So you might not be able to use a little rectangle for... You might not be able to use a rectangle for that pelvis. You'll have to use this kind of keystone shape. This T shape. And then inside that T shape, you can poke a couple of rectangles in. Poke a couple more rectangles, because this is going to be, I think, a real skinny character. Well, kind of. I'm getting this wrong a little bit. Those legs are going to be just a little thicker. She's standing on, not standing on twigs, she's standing on branches. Now we don't see her legs in the picture all the way down, but we're using our imaginations here. The feet, we're just going to use a couple of little blocks. Now, this is not 100% the correct quote-unquote way. We're just looking at how to have enough information to begin translating what we see into shapes we can assemble on the paper. So, this upper torso might be a little bit too tall, so we're going to shorten that just a little bit. Now, you'll notice in the drawing that the shoulders have a little bit of a slope to them. We are going to apply that and go from this rectangle to this oblong pentagon. The arm, a couple of rectangles. Now, here is a proportions tip that will make your life a little bit easier. The wrist terminates at the groin area, which is noted at the bottom of the keystone. So, we take this point right here and kind of point it right over here a little bit. That's where we can put her wrist, and the drawing kind of makes sense. Her other arm is holding her fist over her heart. So we can take how this arm is halfway down here, do another triangle kind of closer, turned closer down to the body, bend it back up. Now, the sections of the arm, the forearm and the upper arm, they're going to be about the same length. So you can match it like that with a little bit of a V. Now, ordinarily, there's not really supposed to be a space like this right here. We're freewheeling it just a little bit. Again, just to show you how this doesn't have to be super laborious to at least get the minimum kind of drawing we want. Now, the hand, people always get tripped up about the hand. The hand, at its most basic, is a square with another square stacked on top of it. That square can be divide it into 4 segments and you'll get your basic fingers. You'll notice that the thumb usually terminates here just past this first joint on the hand, at least looking at it on the inside. That thumbnail is just past the knuckles. The thumb, general rule, you got your butt of the joint right here. Thumb goes to about right there. Now that's just the basic folded up sense of the hand. It changes a little bit when the fingers roll up and become a fist. Then you're dealing with a somewhat more trapezoidal representation of the form. With this side being right here, the opening of the hand, where an object might be gripped. So, returning to the drawing. There is a fist clenched over her heart. Trapezoid shape. She's holding a rose in the other hand. Also trapezoid shape. The rose comes off of the hand, and the main head of the flower droops down a little bit. We have a little bit of a neck, which could be just this tiny little square. And we have the head, which is quite large in comparison with the body. The head is almost as wide as the shoulders. Now that's not normal for proportions, but it's one of those things that we stretch around a little bit and makes sense when we go to create stylized drawings. Now, you look at the drawing, you look at the picture reference about, the top half of the head is hair. Now, hair can be a little bit funny, but you don't have to let it scare you. In no circumstances should you let drawing hair scare you. Do not let drawing hair scare you. Do not let drawing hands scare you. Do not let drawing feet scare you. Nothing is that complicated. Anything that's complicated has a bunch of small steps. And those small steps are all easy. It's just learning the small steps. Hair, it's a bunch of individual strands. But those individual strands come together to form tufts. The kind of clumpy shapes. So don't think about drawing individual strands when you're drawing hair. Think about how are you going to communicate the individual shapes involved in the drawing of the hair. So she has her hair favors this side a little bit. So we'll do that one line. And the bottom is just a few zigzags until it comes back up to the bottom of her forehead. We have some strands that come down over her face. And then the hair that goes behind her head kind of drops down in this dramatic shape that goes back down over the shoulders. Excuse me. And we describe that kind of cape shape as it falls behind her back. Now, the main eye shape that we are given with this reference drawing is just the pupils, and we are given eyebrows and eyelashes to help describe the abstraction of her eyes. So we place the circles right about there. We give her her eyelashes. We give her her eyebrows just over that. And this very small, delicate mouth. And there's just enough space here to show off this ear. Now we have the shape of the character. So we can just put some clothes on her. Looks like she has a kind of tattered cuff on her arms. Comes in over here. Indicate the shape there. And over here. Looks like the shoulders puff just a little bit, so we're going to give her a little bit of that on the sleeves. Looks like she has a collared shirt, so we're going to put a little V here, the collar joins, and draw a couple of V's out where the collar comes out. We're going to add a couple more lines to this fist right here that's over her heart. And this is where a little bit of kind of X-ray thinking comes into mind. Like behind this hand, you've got a little necktie. So we have the main knot of the tie, and it comes out, this tie comes out in 4 major lobes. There's kind of the part of the ribbon that comes back in and goes in the folds, and then on the under layer there are the tails of the ribbon. This shirt is cut with a really long hem, it looks like, that goes probably to the groin. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like to me. And then the skirt comes down pretty long. We're just doing a little trapezoid type shape. Skirt comes down probably, I think, over the knees. Have a couple lines in here for pleats. A couple of lines down here for socks. And then it's a little bit confusing because we're doing all of this, it looks a little confusing because we're doing all of this underdrawing and not really removing it from the overdrawing. We're going to do a couple more lines in the skirt to indicate these pleats. Have I got an eraser? The answer, it appears, is no. Now, as a general rule, I don't use an eraser. I draw with a red pencil and then a blue pencil because they're different enough that I can do kind of a layer pass with the red and then go with the blue and it makes sense. I'm going to do an eraser today for y'all's sake. So, anything that we are not supposed to see, for extra drawings. Anything that we are not supposed to see, all that structure that we developed underneath, we can just carefully erase. And we don't have to worry about getting it too perfect. We just have to make enough of this go away, because when we do that, we can come back with our pencil, which normally would have an eraser in it, but my black pencil has had its eraser spent for a very long time. Come back, put in those detail lines that we had, and then we can get a little bit creative here. This skirt, we are putting in some kind of delicate light shading lines to bring it to about the same light level as that red. We can put a little bit of detailing where the pleats are, a little extra dark lines, and we can put a little bit of dark shading lines in for character. Not technically shading, but these are coloring kind of to give the skirt a little bit of character. Make it feel a bit more alive and textured. We can do the same to the necktie. Go. Giving that a little bit of shading to make that separate from everything else, and then putting the darker lines in there to make the detailing evident. We're going to cheat a little bit on these fingers. 1 rectangle, 2 rectangle, 3 rectangle, 4 rectangle, and the thumb on the outside. The rose comes down, a couple of leaves, a little bit of the rose stem, and then detail the petals just a little bit. There we go. And then the hair that's going behind the back, we put a little bit of tone in there, a little bit of tone and texture. We give these eyes a little bit of definition. I'm pretty sure these are the edges of the irises. We put a little bit of tone into the eyes. We refresh the hairlines that we made, the outlines of the shapes. Put a little bit more. Now, as I'm working here, there are limitations to the amount of light that you can communicate with just an HB pencil. There are amazing things you can do with an HB pencil, but I have learned over time that I do better when I can work with a blue pencil and a red pencil. We're going to apply a little bit more tone across the hair to make it visually separate. What's going on here? We will erase the underdrawing we did on the head. socks. Make the shape. I will not be detailing the shoes because the show is about to be over and there is no time to go over that at the moment. So, again, applying some tone to the hair. Refreshing outline of the drawing. Putting some texture lines in to increase the sense of the shape. Putting a couple of detail lines in to make the hair feel more dimensional, and putting a little part here on the top of the head because that is correct for this character. Now, I'm not certain how long or how short the original artist took when they made their drawing. It might have been a process like this with a little bit more refinement involved, because you can see a certain amount of time and energy present in the reference drawing right over here. But with my understanding of art and my understanding of drawing, this is how I might approach it, at least in the matter of communicating how to produce this drawing using the most basic shape communication skills that I could teach. Now, if you have any questions, I would love to hear them. You can drop them in the comments of the video. Drop them in the comments of the video so that I know to look at them for the next show. I want to deliver teaching that is relevant to you and helpful to you. The only way I can do that is if I get feedback. So, like, subscribe, think of your questions, and make sure I get them as a comment or as a chat option in the next video. Or find me somewhere else and tell me. Just make sure I know what you need help with so I can help you with it. Now, I'm way over time. My wife and daughter are being gracious to me because I started a little bit late, but I need to pray for you so we can go. Come on. O God, the source of all holy desires, all good counsels, and all just works, give to your servants that peace which the world cannot give, that our hearts may be set to obey your commandments, and that we, being defended from the fear of our enemies, may pass our time in rest and quietness through the merits of Jesus Christ our Savior. Amen. I'm very glad to have had you. I would love to have you again on the next stream, Saturday, where we will return to drawing a project, and or next Monday, when we will have another drawing teaching stream. But until then, you take care, and I'll see you later.